Hi everybody. So I've done this look at one of the dude's videos. I've just finished the chat with Pete Dassey, which is great. And prior to that, a little chat with Mark Atkinson of the Barn Studios, the guy responsible for producing all of the great tracks by Stacey. Well, apart from obviously the ones that Stacey recorded solo, but all of the studio produced tracks. Mark Atkinson is the guy that Stacey went to on the next island from his. I believe it was called Hornby Island. So anyway, hoping to have a chat with McGilla, but as yet, we seem to be unable to make contact with the gorilla. Maybe he's escaped from Mr. Peebles' pet shop. So be careful because there might be a gorilla on the loose. McGilla, the gorilla, roaming the street near you. So anyway, what we're going to do, as I say, is look at this video of the dude talking about a guy called Robert Milan, who is featured on the 2-hour epic YouTube video, A True Story of a False Confession, presented by Steve Drizzen and Laura Nyrider. It's a great video, 2 hours long, as I say, and they really dig into the confession and show you the techniques that he used and what's wrong about the confession. Not that, you know, you need to be a legal expert to see that there's huge problems with Brendan's confession, but you know, just sort of tightening up and letting people see exactly what techniques these Muppets, Wiegand and Fassbender, Bert and Ernie, as I prefer to call them, used in the name of justice. They used these techniques on Brendan. Surely they knew perfectly well what was going to happen. Surely they could see what was happening during the interrogation. Anyway, let's share screen. Let's go to here and let's click on share. I've clicked on share sound, and let's move me up to the top corner there, so I'm out of the way. Let's click on play. It's always a good thing. And then let's click on full screen.
Hello everybody, I'm back here today doing another little video here. I wanted to talk about the difference between, conscientious and ethical prosecutors as opposed to less than ethical or, proper prosecutors. So that's what this is about today. The things I'm going to put here for you today are from a YouTube video featuring Steve Drizzen and Laura Nyrider, but also featuring the person I'm going to show you, the prosecutor, Robert Milan. I think this guy is absolutely stellar. I just think this guy is great. He is a prosecutor who seriously disdains chasing prosecutions for their own sake, and that he thinks that if the prosecution got it wrong, then they need to be the biggest one out. They need to be the first one out there, and they need to be the most proactive one trying to make it right. And I think he's right. And he has actually taken a lot of steps to do just that. And I just think he's absolutely stellar. And as far as Brad Schimel goes, Brad Schimel should really take a look at this guy and, maybe take a page out of his book, because like I said, this guy is a class act, and wait till you hear the things he's got to say right now. And I think really seriously, Brad Schimel and his little buddy Ken the Prize Kratz could really learn a lot from this guy. Anyways, I'm gonna play those clips for you now. Here they come.
So one of the trends that's happening across the country now are these conviction integrity units that you're finding in prosecutor offices. So independent units that are dedicated to reviewing allegations of cases of wrongful convictions. Does this suggest that prosecutors have a proactive role in addressing wrongful convictions? All right, Mr. Milan.
You know, if prosecutors are the, let me just back up. You know, when it comes to taking somebody's freedom, and this is what every prosecutor should think about, when you take somebody's freedom, it's not like horseshoes. It's close doesn't cut it. You better get it right. And when a prosecutor's office locks somebody up, they better use the same sense of urgency to fix it if they've locked up the wrong person. And that's why these conviction integrity units or DNA review units, whatever you want to call them, are so important. Every major prosecutor's office in this country should have that unit that goes back and looks at these cases. We started it in Cook County back in the early 2000s. We copied it off of San Diego. San Diego actually had that unit, and then we opened it up, and we were very successful. We actually exonerated a number of people over those years. But there's another important component of this, and Wisconsin should really start to get it, and that is when you're a prosecutor and a potential wrongful conviction is brought to you, the adversarial system should end. I mean, one of the biggest problems about this is you go into court and you're battling, and it's all adversarial. But when you are brought a potential wrongful conviction, that has to end, and the prosecutors should work with the defense attorneys to find the truth. Forget about win or lose. Let's just get it right. And that's not what you're seeing in this case. The fact that Steve and Laura and Tom have brought this to the appellate court and, you know, to post-convictions, the appellate court, with zero success in light of what we just watched. And now they're in the federal court, and I bet Tom today is going to win the Dassey case, and I hope I win that bet, and I'm convinced I'm going to win that bet. But Brendan Dassey will walk. He'll get out because he has really good lawyers and because the truth is going to come out. This is just too embarrassing. But I hope that Wisconsin wakes up and they get, in regards to wrongful convictions, the adversarial stuff ends and they work shoulder to shoulder with the defense bar.
Live streaming can be tricky, and sometimes trying to find the right software to...
Now, we're looking at the definition of Kratzy here, which is obviously the opposite of the way that Robert Milan operates. But I'm going to go ahead and play a couple more clips of Robert Milan here that I have shared before. But they're just, I mean, this guy is so on point. This guy is absolutely great. I totally admire this guy, so I'm going to play those for you now.
Mr. Milan, from the prosecutor's perspective, does the lack of corroboration in Brendan's confession in the form of evidence or otherwise give you pause or concern?
Yeah, from a prosecutor's perspective, you know, Dr. Kavanaugh and Laura and others can talk about, you know, the child's psychological issues and the demeanor, as Laura pointed out, and those things that others look at. But from a prosecutor, the way I looked at a case was corroboration. And to me, and I've taught this over and over again, but a confession is absolutely worthless unless you can corroborate it. I'll say it again. A confession is absolutely worthless unless it can be corroborated. And if you look at the Brendan Dassey case, there is zero corroboration to back up that very, very weak confession he gave. The evidence that would have been left at that scene could not have been cleaned up by the sharpest individual, let alone Avery and Dassey. There is no way they could have cleaned up all that blood. There is no way that there wouldn't have been marks left from shackles on the bed and everything else. There's no way that young woman's hair wouldn't have been found in that trailer, or semen on the sheets or the bedding. Not a chance that those things wouldn't have been found. And the fact that there is zero physical evidence to corroborate a very, very weak and ridiculous confession taken by that young man should be enough for the Wisconsin prosecutors and the Wisconsin police to walk away from that case.
Indeed. Where is the evidence? Where is it? Where did this crime scene, where did it go? Yeah, I got to agree with Robert Milan there. And now we'll move on to the next one.
Fear of the courtroom versus the fear of the program?
That's right.
All right, I'll try to run with that.
Theater.
I don't know if I'm going to answer this exactly, but I'll just... A little bit, but that's all right. I looked at this, like the dean, I did a crash course on Making a Murderer this week. I watched all 10 episodes in 3 separate days, and I found myself screaming at the television and screaming at Mr. Kratz, like the rest of you. And as I broke this thing down, this is how I looked at it. It started out with the conflict of interest. I mean, how did this whole thing start going south? That they were wise enough to call in a special prosecutor, a moronic special prosecutor, but they brought in a special prosecutor, but they weren't wise enough to keep the original cops out of this. And that's shocking. So that's how this whole thing starts going sideways. Followed by Kratz's press conference regarding Mr. Dassey's confession, which was outrageous. Followed by the fact that Kratz commits a huge discovery violation by questioning Bobby Dassey during the trial about a statement that the defense attorney's never heard about before, followed by the defense attorney for Brendan Kaczynski absolutely selling him out with the investigator, followed by a series of rulings by the judge that were outrageous. One, no gag order. I mean, why prosecutors and defense attorneys are stepping up to cameras after every day of trial is beyond me. And then followed by what I already mentioned, which was zero corroboration to substantiate the confession. This was more than a...
All right, so there we go. We have the thoughts of Robert Milan on this whole thing, and like I said, man, the guy's like a breath of fresh air when you think about dealing with the likes of Ken Kratz and Brad Schimel. Yeah. Not very good guys. And, you know, Robert Milan, I think, is just a total class act. You know, he, the way he talks about the wrongfulness of putting an innocent person behind bars wrongfully, and how the prosecution should be the loudest one, getting proactive about correcting such misfortunes. Classy guy, man. He's a very classy guy. I like him a lot. Such the opposite of the way that Ken Kratz and Brad Schimel operate. You know, the definition of Kratzy is for a reason, because, you know, the dude is just delusional, you know. And I honestly don't see whereas Brad Schimel is really going to be much different. I think they're just peas in a pod. So what I want to do is I want to just suggest to everybody, please watch the entirety of this video that I'm sharing pieces of it with you here. I really wanted to share some of the pieces of Robert Milan so that you guys could be introduced to him and what he's all about, and what the difference between a very conscientious and ethical prosecutor looks like compared to the likes of the prosecutors that you're seeing with Making a Murderer. So I just want to share that with you guys. Also, the video features Steve Drizzen and Laura Nyrider very much. Obviously, those are Brendan's lawyers, so if you have an interest in seeing the type of things they have to say, please tune in for it. Check it out. I'm going to obviously leave the link down in the information down below there, so just go ahead and go down there and you can click. And now, I got to say, it is a long video, so maybe you'll pace yourself. Watch it in segments or something. You know, but I love to just sit down and watch it all the way through on Sunday morning or something like that. Personally, that's just me. I just like to watch it all the way through and just get all that information all at once. But hey, however you guys choose to check it out and get some information from it, you go. That's basically how I feel about it. But go ahead and check it out if you get a chance. It's really good. And, you know, I will continue to do more and more videos basically criticizing Brad Schimel, Ken Kratz, investigation there, in this case, all of it. You can expect more from me. So, anyways, we'll see you guys later. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and thank you very much.
Wow. That was a long time ago that I first watched that video. Never realized that he mentions the dude. Maybe that's where I got the idea from. Interesting, isn't it, that he talks about Robert Milan as being a classy guy. That's exactly how we feel about the dude. And just a couple of quotes from Robert Milan at the start there. You know, that the adversarial system should end. You know, when you get to the post-conviction stage, it should be a search for the truth. And that, you know, when there are these clear problems with the case, you know, the prosecution should be the ones trying to speed things up. And we're not seeing any of that. So yeah, very interesting. I remember watching that that video of the dude. It features a Monopoly board, which I think says "Go to jail, go to jail, go to jail, go to jail" in 4 corners. It's great stuff though. That was a very early Erekose video, as you can probably tell. Catch you all again soon, and we'll see who we can get enlisted, rounded up for tomorrow. Catch you later, guys. Bye for now.